Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back to Cocktails and Rocktails with me, your most notorious groupie, Alice Rouse, author of We've Got Tonight, Life and Times of Notorious Groupie. That's right, you guys, in these other little ebooks right here. Where you can find that, merchandise, everything, go down in that description. Find it down there, fiddle about, because you know how much I love it. And as always, thank you guys for all the love, all the support, all the amazing people, everybody that's coming on for interviews, everybody that's lurking. And I've got a lot more people coming for interviews, guys. I'm going to keep some things mummed for a while until I spring them on you, really. But as usual, thank you so much, you guys. You have been such an amazing community here, and I just love meeting more and more of you every day. So thank you, guys. And to thank you guys, as always, you know when you see this book, what it means. That's right. We're having a reading today, you guys. We are going to go back to 1988 because life is fun, sex is great. We're the class of 88. That was my senior year little motto that everybody at my high school chose. Was that Salem? Oh, that's right, Jamel Marie. You made that up. I think we made that up together at Ziski's Lake. But anyway, okay, that's a whole other story before that. So today I'm going to do a little reading for 1988, and we're going to talk about a certain little lead singer, little thrash boy, always just kind of growling on him. So, and today, you guys, we're going to finish off a little bit another local, our Talisman. I love this stuff, you guys. This is one of my favorite Scottish ales here in town. I'll have my favorite on the next day, but this is my second favorite. So you guys, kick up your kilts, kick up your feet, and let's have a little cocktails and rocktails. Cheers, big ears. Oh, I love it, love it, love it so much. It's so delicious. You guys, if you see Talisman Brewery anywhere, grab one. Try it. You guys, they are excellent brew house from north of Salt Lake City and Ogden. Okay, so like I said, we are going to Chapter 5. She's only 17, 1988. Was I? I was of the age of consent. I hadn't even made it halfway through my senior year of high school after the last scene with my vice principal. And you guys who I have read the most recent reading with Def Leppard, you'll know what that means. So the things keeps going off. All my friends from Brighton had dropped off due to my excess reputation baggage. I spent about 2 weeks in another East Side high school that my teacher mother had pulled strings to get me into before finally settling into my alternative school in the evenings and beauty college in the day. Because you guys, my senior year, I was going to beauty college in the daytime. I was in high school at night, and I was working at Burger King and doing all this. So I had a full fucking plate. Like I said, work hard, play hard. So there seemed to be a brand new band ascending into Salt Lake City every week. So I found myself busier than ever and surprised that I could walk by the end of the year. I even found myself more secluded into the rock and roll family, far, far away from any form of normalcy. Danny was still in college and having met a new guy that she would soon live with, was sporadic in her rock and roll ventures, while Kristen was still a year behind me in high school and making the grade. But she too would soon be gone for a while to paradise in Hawaii by the end of the year to finish off her high school years with her father. Who wouldn't want to go to Hawaii? But then she said there was no tour buses in Hawaii. Okay, so in the meantime, between it all, I found the world of rock changing. The pretty boys of the LA scene were fading quicker than their hair color, and the spandex they wore became fodder for late-night television. Happy sex-laden music was becoming too ignorant for the thrash boys dominating the stages. I was tossing out my leopard print spandex, replacing it with black jeans too tight to get around my ankles, and cut-up t-shirts with punk rock attitude. I still held on to my lace. Let me rephrase that. But I still held on to my lace as the rest fell to the floor. I might have been a tough rock chick on the outside, but I was all lace and silk where it counted, and ladies Always be lace and silk where it counts. Gives the boys a little bit of a thrill and a little bit of a surprise. The next man that was going to be seduced by my little black knickers was tougher than any stone Michelangelo had to carve. But just like marble, once you get through the initial carving, he was a beautiful piece of work. Soft even. And that is never what I expected Dave Mustaine to be. So this is February of 1988. So this is the 28th. Oh God, it was a leap year. So the night before was February 28th, and the night of the show was the 29th, leap year. I never realized that. And if you want to see pictures of the passes, buy the book. Go down. Or if you do read it for free, read it from cover to cover, because I don't get paid unless you do. Sorry, shameless plug. Okay, so none of us had a car we could drive to get to the bands. Kristen didn't have one. My mom needed hers, and Tracy was grounded from hers. The life of teenage groupies who still lived at home was never uncomplicated. But hurdles and steel gates never stopped any of us from getting to the band, and not having a car wouldn't either. Dio and Megadeth were playing the next day, and since I had figured out this whole night before the show thing, I was determined to get to Megadeth's lead singer. Kristen was already at my house, so all we needed was to go get Tracy and be on our way. And when push come to shove, I did the only thing I could think of. I asked my mom to give us a ride downtown. She was in an aware kind of denial that her daughter was a groupie. She really didn't know what that was. She just knew I was running wild with rockers. Being a great mom that she is. When I wrote the book, she was still alive. She passed in 2019 with Alzheimer's. Yeah. So being the great mom that she is and wanting to know where her daughter was, therefore letting it be known she would be there if I needed her, she unknowingly agreed to give us a ride to our sinful escapades. She knew where the hell we were going. Stupid. My mom used to sneak out with her two cousins in high school and go sing with the band and then go skinny dipping, so apple doesn't fall far from the tree. And my dad was kind of a slut, so that's how I was born. No, my mom was 100% class. She's amazing. So after picking up Tracy and having my mom secretly do the rounds, which is driving by all the hotels, because Salt Lake City has this group of hotels in a 5-mile radius that surrounded one of the only arenas in Salt Lake City. So we would just drive by each hotel till we found the tour buses, and voila, the nights would start. So we saw some buses in front of the Red Lion Hotel. I told my mom to stop, and she let us out on the opposite side of the street. As she pulled away, all she saw in her rearview mirror was her daughter and friends running across the street and into the open door of the band's waiting bus. Oh, she must have been so thrilled. I am still kind of half surprised Mom did not turn that car around and knock on the bus door to drag me off, because she would have. She didn't take any shit from rock stars. If they called the house after 10 p.m., she told Mike, Clark from Suicidal off. She told James Hetfield off. She told a few rock stars off. Don't call her after 10. Yeah, she meant business. But it was that easy. Seriously. As we got out of the car, the guys on the bus must have seen us. They beckoned to us before we even hit the sidewalk. So Tracy, Kristen, and I ran off and into the waiting and rocking night. Because like I said, in the 80s it was. We all knew the game, every city. Same thing, different groupies, different rock stars. Same city, different bands came through. We all played the band game, which is what the kind of game James Hetfield never cared that I played. Oh, that would happen later this year. That's right. All right, so we did the usual round of intros and were handed beers. I was trying to figure out who was who. Since it was Dave Mustaine I was after, none of them really mattered, but could come in handy in helping me get to him. I was starting to get all James Bond on the situation. So I was asking a lot of questions. There were 3 Americans and 1 English bloke that were entertaining us ladies in their tubular abode. Once we had settled in, I figured out that we were with the roadies from Dio and their bass player, Jimmy Bain. He was the English muck among us and had taken an instant liking to Tracy. And rest in peace, Jimmy Bain. I was flirting up the situation, but not really interested in anyone that surrounded us at the moment. But it wasn't even an hour into the night yet. There could be a lot to be made of it. After a couple beers on the bus, it was decided that we would move the party to Jimmy's Hotel, the ever infamous and now home away from home, the Marriott Hotel, downtown Salt Lake City. You guys. I did one of the very first bonus episodes I did was a downtown picture, so go check it out, you guys. Like one of the first 5 videos or episodes. So, okay, we're at the famous Marriott. But first, some drugs needed to be found so the party could last all night long. Of course, I had the numbers for that, so went with one of the roadies to arrange the necessary favors. That took about a half an hour and one full face plant into the lift later. Yeah, that's me. While walking into the elevator to wait for the delivery with the roadie, I tripped on my heels and fell face first into the little metal box. Because I did. Just kind of known back then for being a little bit clumsy. And I wasn't even that drunk yet. So I scraped up my whole knee in the process, blood running down. Nice roadie guy bandaged me up with kind of a perverted care in his room. Apparently he was a leg man. Too bad he never got mine wrapped around him. I was bandaged for the rest of that evening, which ladies would actually come in handy for a flirtation tool later that night. But finally, after meeting up with the delivery man, I walked into Jimmy Bain's room with the roadie that had been put in charge of me. Kristen and Tracy were already about a half an hour ahead of me and already tagged and bagged by Jimmy Bain and Clive from the band Dio. I still had my sights set on that opening band's red-headed, scowling lead singer Dave Mustaine, though. So, lucky for me, as I strutted through the door, because I did, there he was in all his metal splendor. His eyes immediately fixated on me. They curiously squinted as I made my way towards him in my usual nonchalant, I don't give a fuck fashion. I said hello and got introduced around the room to a couple new faces before making my way to where Dave sat, which was in the corner of the room at a table next to a very intimidating pile of smoking. Dio's bass player, who was attached to Tracy, brought me a grolsch. I had a hit off a joint that had just been lit, and contemplating switching men when I met Craig, Dio's latest guitarist. God, he was hot. He was such a pretty boy. He was so pretty. So pretty. Well, I thought to myself, if Dave didn't work out, at least I had another option. Ladies always have a backup, just in case you don't gel with one guy. You might gel with the other one. So, don't get too fixated on one situation. So, just like that, the party was off like a bat out of hell. Switching conquest seemed to be out of the question to Dave Mustaine, though. I was tagged in his mind already. This would be typical Dave, it turned out. He was that hot and confident, yet somehow quite sweet and charming. Yes, I am talking about the crusty-mouthed lead singer of Metal Thrashers, Megadeth, you guys. As I got closer, he pulled out the only chair left in the room and called out in my direction. Hey, come sit here. I haven't met you yet, Dave insisted. I stood still for a second, looking at his smirking lip with my raised eyebrow. Before being pushed over to him by Kristen, she's an instigator, man. I wasn't going to just come when beckoned. Hell no. I had to be a challenge in some sort of way, and this was going to be one fun rocker to play with. I can already tell. Because, ladies, Don't just fall on your back like you've got a mattress there already. Have a little fun. Be a lover. Chase each other. Excite each other. Interest each other. Before you do other things to each other. Okay. I sat in the chair on the other side of the table and told him my name. He shook my hand with his left one, where I noticed his gold band. Upon seeing my face, looking at his ring, again, Dave immediately saved his ass. Oh, don't worry, he said. I'm not married. I just wear this to keep the fat, ugly girls away. He did say that. That's not my opinion on beauty. Beauty is for everybody of any walk of life. We all have some beauty. It was actually true, though. Most guys lied, but Dave Mustaine was not. He did not marry his wife Pam until a couple of years later. Well, I said, if you really aren't married, then it won't bother you to take it off for the night, will it? As long as you're going to be taking off your dress for me later, then I will take the ring off, Dave smirked back. Take my dress off. Of course I was going to take my dress off for him. This was the plan in the first place, right? I mean, I had tagged and bagged Mustaine in my mind long before I walked into that room. This conversation was merely a formality, really. I looked at Dave with a sideways smile. Deal. He said, well, let's celebrate with a line, Dave exclaimed like a silly little boy as he chopped out some schmocaine from the pile that was between us and invited Kristen and the others to indulge. Dave slipped off the ring and snuck it into his pocket. I sat there giggling to myself that I got him to do it. And as he pulled my chair closer to him, I could do a line from his offering, Kristen walked up behind me, accepting this little indulgence and getting in between Dave and I's deal, not in a bad way. Well, his ring is off. Didn't I hear something about a dress having to be off as well? Kristen chided. Yeah, Dave said in sarcastic agreement. Like I said, Kristen's an instigator. Dave Mustaine, I will take this dress off for you tonight, but not until I am damn good and ready, I replied with a raised eyebrow and a teasing smirk while snorting up what was on the table. Well, can I at least see your tits then, he asked. Okay, I agreed. Kristen, coming up from doing her line, then slipped the straps from my little black dress down my shoulders and past my perky boo-boos. Dave's face went into a little jaw-drop salvation as he got that little sideways smile he does. He liked them. My girls are small, but they are perky and shaped well and can make him drool. Seems that Dave Mustaine had become their latest victim. Because, ladies, like I said, this is my game. I wasn't a toy for the boys. They were my toys. Let's face it. Run your own game, ladies. Run your own game. He reached over as if he knew he owned them for the night, which he did, kind of, and cupped them in his hands. He had nice hands, strong but gentle. I love sexy hands. Oh, Dave had good hands. That is actually Dave Mustaine to a T, strong but gentle. He is the funniest and quite respectful kind of man, and no matter how much he growls for the fans, he will always be good to his groupies. I was rather enjoying the cup play that Dave was giving my girls, and didn't realize that we had a crowd coming around us, not only to see the titillation, but also to do some of the schmocaine. Dave had been guarding from the time I walked in. I blushed a little from the company. Where am I now? Okay. I blushed a little from the company. Wait, where did I go? Okay, I blushed a little from the company. Mustaine, sensing this, took away his hands and pulled up my dress, leaving one strap off my shoulder in the flirty way he wanted. He said that he would get the rest later at his hotel where we could be alone. I smiled and felt safe at the gentleman he showed himself to be. The party continued for a few more hours. Schmocaine went up most of our noses, and booze got less and less. Before any of our happy asses knew it, it was time to pair off into the night. Dave was staying in another hotel than Kristen and Tracy's men, so we hugged our goodbyes, secretly congratulating ourselves on yet another rock and roll conquest, and parted ways. We all seemed so grown up with our rockers, not at all like the high school teens that we were as we left each other in the company of our men. Mustaine and I got into the Marriott shuttle van and headed to the Holiday Inn down the street. We kissed for the first time in the van, and Dave had been very respectfully possessive of me during the powwow while at the other hotel, but had not made a move until we were in the van in a semi-alone state. He was a very good kisser. Yeah, he was. I wonder if he still is. He's married, so I'm not going to find out. Couple's awesome. They're an awesome couple. He was a very good kisser. He pulled me a little on the back of my hair and kissed my neck before growling into my ear. The van pulled to a stop. After tipping the driver and helping me out of the van, Dave and I made our way to his room. We didn't make it far before running into the tour manager and bass player. Dave Ellison, who will be known as Junior from here on out because that's what he was always known as. I will always know Dave as Junior. He was a sweet-faced boy who didn't make any bones about thinking I was cute. He almost seemed to try and steal me away from his bandmate. Junior would actually achieve this years later. Mike, the tour manager, asked if we wanted to come in for some honey oil. "What is that?" I curiously asked, bright-eyed. "If she doesn't know what it is, then we shouldn't be turning her on to it," Dave said rather sternly. I'm glad he stopped me. Turns out they were doing what Sid and Nancy liked to do. So thank you to the ever-sweet and respectful Dave Mustaine for not letting me start that. I never did it because of the fact that he was just getting into it, and if he was stopping me, then I knew it could turn into a serious addiction, as I believe it did for him. Also turns out that because they were a new band at the time, only opening up for Dio, the guys were still sharing fucking hotel rooms. The tour manager happened to be Dave's roomie at the time, so he made arrangements for us to be alone for at least 2 more hours. Good call. What happened after that? Well, I'll let you guys read the book. No, you guys want me to go on? You want me to go on, don't you? Okay, we'll go on. So David and I made it into his room, and finally he got me out of my little black dress. He walked over to my naked self and picked me up before tossing me onto his bed. I loved it when guys do that. Wow, Dave ravaged me like he had something to prove, and he proved himself to me 3 times before the tour manager began knocking on the door. It would be another 100 knocks and 20 minutes before Dave finally let him into his own room, because you could latch the door. The tour manager, being used to certain ways of the road, asked me if I needed a cab home. Seems that Dave didn't usually like the women to stay the night, but Dave disagreed with the tour manager and told him I was staying. He promised my friends that he would take care of me, and he was going to do just that. Plus, he wanted to fuck me again in the morning. It would be easier to do that if I stayed the night, he said sarcastically. And keep in mind, this tour manager was with them one of the times I hung out with him in 2002. You're going to find out why I'm laughing. Okay. The lights went out and we fell asleep. Or so I thought. Dave was curled up next to me, and the tour manager was supposed to be snoring away in his bed. So when I felt a tapping on my foot waking me from my passed-out bliss, I was rightfully confused, and I heard again and again, "Allison, Allison." Tap, tap, tap. Wake up. Wake up, Allison. Let me see your ass. Followed by tap, tap, tap on my foot. The lights were not on and it was pitch black. I opened my eyes and lay still, trying to figure out what was going on. This could not be Dave at my feet since he was face to face with me, still sleeping. I had to adjust my eyes and trick my brain into figuring out what the fuck was going on. I still felt the tapping and heard my name. It wasn't going away. It wasn't just a dream. And now that I was awake, I figured out this was a nightmare. As I looked down towards the end of the bed that caught the little scene in the light that was coming through the crack in the curtain. There, standing at the foot of the bed, dick in hand, was Mike, the tour manager. Seemed someone was horny at even the thought of a hot naked girl in the room. Never mind the red-headed growler sleeping next to me. Forget that. Oh no. This guy was standing there in the dark, jerking off and begging to see my ass. That's rock and roll for you. No shame in this family. Seriously, Dave Mustaine next to me. This guy just... Anyway. Hey, finally comprehending what was going on, I told tour manager to go away. I was not going to show him my ass. My ass was for Dave Mustaine that night, not for his lonely tour manager. Tour manager stayed and begged a little more before Mustaine woke up with a vengeance. Hey, he said loudly and sternly. She said no. She means no, so get the fuck in the bathroom with that shit. Get and leave her alone. Oh, my hero. Dave saved me for the second time that night. And as long as he and I were awake, well, I may as well thank him. He yelled at TM to stay in the bathroom until he said to come out, and we went at it again. 4 times that night. Not that it was fast and quick. Oh, fuck no, ladies. Dave Mustaine good. He good. He's pussy too. He goes down really well. Okay. We finally fell asleep, and at the crack of dawn, I was happily exhausted, and Dave more satisfied than ever. Time to sleep off the schmocaine and the booze. The next morning, Tracy came and got me from Dave's room. He walked me down, opened the car door for me, she was in a cab, and made sure he had my name for the 14th time for the ever-coveted guest list. Tracy took me back to my house where she and I got ready for the show. Another full day of rock and roll to go. Not sure my schmocaine hangover was helping my attitude at this point. Just a little grumpy. I even wondered if I should sleep this one out. I was so just that grumpy. Kristen called and talked me out of it, so Tracy and I, who got her car that day, swung by and picked her up on the way to our rock and roll castle. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. That is the first night I met Dave Mustaine. Like I said, you want to see the passes and stuff? Read the book. Or actually, go watch the other one. So here's my pass. They're right there. They're in my little storage closet right here. So, but anyway, there you guys go. There's a little ditty about Hottie Hottie. And Dave Mustaine still looks good. He still looks hot. Like, he still gets laid. Maybe he's not as wild as he used to be. Maybe he's more faithful to his wife than he ever used to be. But he's still hot. Let's face it. He's aging very well. Yeah. And he's still the sweetest, sweetest guy. It's been about 7 or 8 years since the last time I hung out with him. And because I was with the Warriors and stuff, I don't go out of my way to hang out with Dave because our time has come. A few times. Not just that night. But, you know, so rock and roll relationships, they all come to an end. Somehow, some way. Whether it's 3 tours, 3 months, 3 days, 3 years, 13 years. There you go. But the thing about rock and roll is they're always welcoming to its family. So there you guys go. Hope you guys enjoyed today's reading. Hope you had a little fun. And the moral of the story today, ladies, run your own game. Have a backup. Always carry condoms. And don't let the tour manager see your butt. Alright guys, hope you enjoyed today's episode. Don't forget to go down in that description, check out where you can get my book, my merchandise. I've got some killer stuff. And while you're on the way down there, for you guys looking, hit that subscribe, hit the share, hit my bells, and we'll see you next time on Cocktails and Rocktails.